If I were to take this gospel and write a short book on it, these would be the chapters. The first chapter would be the invitation or the call. And Father goes to son 1 and says, "Son, go out into the field and go out into the vineyard." Okay? And he goes to the other son and says the same, "Go out into the vineyard and do this work." There's the call from the Father. Chapter 2 would be the response. Response number 1. He's been called, "Go out into the field and work in the vineyard." "No, I will not." Goes to the other son, says, "Go out in the field." And he says, "Yes, Father, I will go." Let's skip to chapter number 4. Chapter number 4 is response number 2. And the older son, or the son who said he would not go, decides to go out. And the other son who said, "Yes, Father, I will go," decides not to go out. And then chapter 5 would be the question, who did the Father's will? So let me just ask, I want to hear. Who did what the Father wanted? Which one? The first son. The one who said, "I won't go." He actually did what the Father wanted. And the one who said the nice words, "Yes, Father, I will go," he did not. Read King Lear. Read King Lear. Okay, Shakespeare. I skipped chapter 3, and it's the most important chapter. This is the chapter of conversion. Now, I want to ask a question, a scientific question. I'm not a teacher. It's been years since I've been in school, but I think I'm still correct on this. Okay, what is an ice cube? Tell me the molecular combination or whatever it is that you call it. Well, an ice cube. What's it made of? H2O. What is that? Okay, but what does H2O stand for? Okay, hydrogen and oxygen. Okay, in the frozen state, is it H2O, water? Okay, if I apply heat to it, I can convert it to another form. What would that form be? Water or liquid? Liquid. So it would go from a frozen solid state to a liquid state. If I apply even more heat, what will it change to? Steam. Is the steam still H2O? And the ice cube still H2O? And the liquid's H2O. Okay, but it's gone through a conversion. Now, chapter 3 is about the conversion of two individuals. They're still the same people. The first one gets invited, told by the Father, commanded, "Go out into the vineyard at work." "No, I don't want to." But then he goes through a conversion. Thinks about it, feels bad about it, decides that wasn't a very good response. He doesn't go back to the Father and say anything. He just goes out into the field and does what he was told. The second one says, "Sure, Father, I'll go. I'm such a good son. Don't you just love me? I'll go." Father walks away, and he goes through a conversion. He decides, "Nah, I don't feel like it. I don't want to. I'm not going to go." And he doesn't. What's going on? What happens? How do people go through this conversion? I'll tell you a story of mine. I was a young boy. I'm going to say about 8, 9, I remember. And we had a back door with a screen door with a spring on it, so that when you threw it open, the spring would make it shut. Keep the flies and the cooties out, okay? So I would want to go out to play, and I'd be in the room, and somebody calls, so I'd run out the back door, throw it open, and run out the back door, and it would go, and my dad would shout the same thing every time. "You idiot, close the door right." Okay. 20 minutes later, I came in the front door, and I run out the back door again. "You idiot, close the door right." I must have heard that 8 or 9 times. I just wasn't thinking. And I'd run out the door, and sure enough, "You idiot, close the door right." Somewhere around the 8th or 9th time, this is in a period of days, I threw the door open, and I remembered, because he had planted in my head several times, uh-oh, he's going to shout, "You idiot." But before I could grab the door, even though I tried to stop it, You idiot, close the door right. 2 or 3 more of those where I tried to stop it. And then finally, as I threw the door open and I remembered a millisecond faster, I grabbed the door, closed it quietly, and I didn't hear any words. My habit had changed. I went through a conversion. I went from a state of just taking care of Perry's needs, running out to play and not thinking about noise or anything else. And through the heat that was applied, I went through a conversion and became someone who opened and closed the door like a human civilized person without banging it and making noise for everyone in the house. It's simple. It's simple. Conversion is a very important part of our spiritual journey. And we're asked to take a good look at ourselves every single day. To look at how we do things, why we do things, how we could do things, or perhaps how we should do things. But how do we actually go through the process of conversion? Well, I gave you one about 2 months ago. I'll give them out after Mass again today. It's one. This isn't sacred. This isn't the only one. This isn't necessarily even the best one. This is a process. To take 5 minutes, 10 if you want to be a little crazy, 5 minutes a day to look at the last 24 hours and to say, how am I living my life? There's 7 steps in the process, ending with the prayer, the Our Father. But the point of it is to look back over the last 24 hours and say, am I doing or being the best I can be? Where am I not? Where do I say to my Father or my Father in heaven, no, I won't? And then I think about it and say, maybe I should. Where do I so quickly say, yes, I will, but then I end up not doing it because I just don't feel like it? This peace in us, this chapter 3, is the peace where we actually become the best people we can become. But it doesn't just happen. We have to apply the heat. We have to take a good look at it and be willing to make the change. You know, I sit in that confessional every week, twice a week, or in my office. I could be going down the street and someone sometimes will say, can I go to confession, Father? Sure, why not? So they tell me their sins. And this is how I think we were trained, and a lot of people approach it. A sin is like a little black mark in our soul, and we get these marks, and then we feel guilty, and then we come to the priest, and we go to God through the priest to say, I'm sorry for my sins, and we get them erased, and we start over again. But I don't think that's chapter 3. That's some kind of a process. It satisfies something, but the deeper process is we have to ask some questions. So I often ask people, you know, let's say I've been really angry, I've been judging people, I've put some people down, I was really mean and nasty. So I say, okay, now did you get up in the morning on the day that you were mean and nasty and say, okay, I think today I'll be mean and nasty 3 times? Well, no. Did you say, I think I'll be impatient 4 times today? No, I didn't think of it like that. Oh, then did you say this? I'll talk back twice today. I want to talk back 2 times. No. Then how did it happen? It just happens. It happens because we're not thinking about it. It happens because we're throwing the door open. It's happened because we're not thinking of consequences. It happens because it just happens. And that's what people confess. But I'll tell you, it's the chapter 3 is the issue. If I come up to this gentleman and I say, you big creep, you crazy man, and I walk away. Now what happens? Right here. What happens here? Do I say, well, it's his fault? Well, he started it. Well, I've never liked him anyway, and he never liked me, so why should I play a game and pretend? You know, I'm not going to change. Ooh, this chapter 3. I'm converting into a person who is justifying my creepy behavior. That's the sin. Whatever I did to him probably just erupted in a crazy moment. I'm not saying it's good. It's not good. But it just happened. But what happens afterward is the moment of sin or grace where I justify it, blame him, refuse to say I'm sorry, or I think about it and say, oh my God, Perry, what are you doing? What a creep. Really? I'm going to let that stand? And if I go through the conversion, I might even grow enough to go back and say, you know, I'm really sorry. What I said and did to you was really creepy, and I'm asking your forgiveness. By the way, not always an easy thing to do. Jesus so often talks about chapter 3 because he knows what ultimately will give us peace and make us happy is living out the conversion, chapter 3. I'm not so sure as a church we preach that very well. We preach, go to confession, confess your sins, but what about the conversion? What about the change of heart, the change of mind, the change of life? Today, Jesus invites us to consider chapter 3 because it's in that chapter that we will become the best people we can become.